Come over here. I've got something to show you. Pink. The color of soap bubble spheres and gasoline. Of thin-lipped cockle shells pinked in morning sun, and extra blankets twisted on our winter bed. You can get a gorgeous pink by mixing Indian red, also called Persian red, with titanium white. What my old teacher used to call inner thigh pink. His words, not mine. I also mix quinacridone red and titanium white to get the pink of Samuel Peplow's tea roses. But blending these two pinks makes me think of the satanic dog that lived down the street from my childhood home. They called her Ginger, a psychopathic pit bull that drooled and adored her fleas in the sun. I screamed bloody murder when Ginger snapped off quarter-sized plugs of my ass through my blue jeans. I limped home and scooped palmfuls of warm blood out of my underwear. My father grabbed a shovel and headed across the street. Whenever I mix pink, it reminds me of foamy dog gums and low-octave growling. Few painters understood pink better than Rococo painter Jean-Honoré Fragonard. The term Rococo is derived from rocaille, the French word for shell, which is why Rococo painting, architecture, furniture, and even music is full of curvy, pleasing sensations. Unlike Baroque painters, who took themselves oh so seriously, Rococo artists were less concerned with morals and messages than with nobility and blissful amnesia. Theirs was an art by the French, about the French, and for the French. However, if you look beyond the chocolate sipping and ass pinching, you'll find that 18th century French Rococo paintings, such as The Happy Lovers from 1760, were full of tension. Fragonard, Antoine Watteau, and Nicolas Lencret painted restless, lustful pictures, using frivolity to mask melancholy, as if something cherished were coming to an end, never to return. Rococo images are often dismissed as trivial, pastel-hued, and decorative, three things I love. They are also highly skilled paintings by successful artists. With brushstrokes that glow as if painted with liquefied silver, a Fragonard embodies the conceptual framework of its message, one of fragrant luxury, classical reference, loss, and sexual fantasy. Some critics and instructors use the word decorative pejoratively, as if severity and discord make a painting good. They probably couldn't make a successful decorative painting if their powdered pink cheeks depended on it. What they fail to recognize is that the will to decorate doesn't arise only out of levity, but is also born of doubt and uncertainty. Reality is questioned, re-examined, and improved through the process of ornamentation. Painting should be more than eye candy, but every painter should know how to make really good candy. Studying the decorative arts can help an artist integrate disparate elements into a cohesive whole that delights the eyes. Every painting is decorative. Pink is the color of hope and desperation, of tea roses and incisors. My father took the shovel to Ginger's skull, but he missed. So I learned to take care of myself. I didn't change my route, but pedaled faster to escape the drills of her eyes, stinging drops of witch hazel, and the pink of her chewing. A mother was tidying up in her teenage son's bedroom and found a stack of bondage magazines, whips, and chains in the back of his closet. She said to her husband, "Oh my, what are we going to do about this?" He said, "Well, spanking him is out of the question." It's a full-time job overlooking the obvious. Everything you need to be a painter has probably been right in front of you all along. An artist is someone who looks through the wrong end of a telescope so that the universe becomes a diamond. A painter must always be able to see the greatest truth in the room. Usually, we try to complicate it so people will think we're politically savvy and oh so intellectual. But the truth usually hides in plain sight. Charles Hawthorne said, "You have to do the obvious thing before you do the superhuman thing." It's taken me decades to learn that every thought begins with a feeling. I don't like when a painting asks me to think right away. There's nothing weaker than a painting that tries to provoke a certain response. I'd rather be a tender man than a smart one. The viewer can't feel unless the artist feels. You can't take someone else's breath away unless it's been done to you. So go into the world and be astonished. Find the greatest truth in the room and magnify it. I've been thinking a lot about that haiku lately, especially the word returned. What does it mean for a painter to return? Of course, to come back to something implies that you went away from it in the first place. Willem de Kooning said, "I have to change to stay the same." Never in my 43 years of painting have I ever questioned or planned what to do next. I simply show up here and figure stuff out. That's not nothing, as my wife Katie is fond of saying. My job is weird, but the thought of not doing it is weirder. I feel like I'm entering a stage in my painting for returning. I'm not making a map of the land, but of the path I took to arrive here. So I return to the source of it all: drawing. Drawing is the skilled application of delay. Patience is a skill. You have to practice it. I learned how to see by drawing trees at Brook Green Gardens, 30 minutes south of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Hampton Plantation State Historic Site, 45 minutes north of Charleston. A tree, like a pond, is circular. You have to walk around it. So there's always a part that's out of view. Painting allows us to be in two places simultaneously, yet only one can be under my sneakers at any given moment. I'm standing here, so I have to imagine being over there. As I walk around the tree, the hidden side reveals itself to me. Even if the viewer can't see it, a painter must be able to visualize all sides of an object. Pictorial space is like saltwater taffy. You hold it in your hands, you can stretch it, pull it, and look at all of the sides, even if they are out of view. The oval shapes of ponds loomed large in my paintings from the late 1980s, 90s, 2000s, and today. The image of a self-contained pond inhabits my new paintings and forms a unified theatrical stage around which things can happen. The pond curves at the edges and stays just inside the picture space. The viewer stands on the bank on one side and gazes across to the other. Strands of vertical trees act as stand-ins for the viewer in various stages of seeing from side to side. I study Chinese scrolls to learn about what's called principles of moving focus. My paintings have a shallow pictorial space, which runs parallel to the picture plane, like Roman wall frescoes or Egyptian friezes. By creating multiple tableaus across the surface, I want your eye to move like a tracking shot in a film, as if you're really walking alone in the woods, not talking, just walking. This type of space implies that the eye is actively engaged in the process of discovery. I tend not to use linear perspective because for me, that implies the passive eye. The viewer doesn't really even have to be there because all roads lead to the vanishing point, regardless of whether or not someone's looking. All landscape painting is studio painting when contemplated. Nature looks best laid out on my studio table. My daily life is orderly, but my studio is a mess. So my paintings are as much about the interior of my studio as they are the exterior landscape. Creativity is about connections, and you can't make connections by organizing everything into allotted spaces. Things must be out of place. New ideas come when unexpected juxtapositions occur, like opening a book to a random page and reading, just to see where it takes you. Life is like that. Anything can happen at any moment, and we just start all over again. A painting is an accelerated version of living an entire life. It should have a beginning, middle, and end. My teacher, Michael Tyzak, taught me that good painting comes from good living. It's too easy to stay in your room comparing your insides to other people's outsides. So get out of the studio and join the world. I've recently taken up cooking and Tai Chi. I look like Terrence from Country Bear Jamboree doing it, but who cares? I keep this photo of Paul McCartney and George Harrison on my studio wall. Look closely at their faces. Their smiles aren't saying, "We're playing for 30,000 cheering fans." Their smiles are saying, "Can you believe that we get to do this for a living?" Once or twice a week, I lie flat on my studio floor and say, "I can't believe I get to do this for a living." It's May 2019 now, and I'm starting work for my 66th solo exhibition. It will be at Forum Gallery in New York City, opening on February 27th. That opening will also double as the release party for my third book. My daughter is applying to colleges, and my son is entering 10th grade. I'm knocking on 54 years old, and I find myself longing to return to that clear-seeing place that I constructed when I was about 10. It doesn't require a plane ticket or hiking boots. I don't even have to leave my studio. All I have to do is go lightly, to not take stuff so seriously. I gave away what self I had long ago. The outside world is a complex place, but not here on 27th Street, on a tiny island in the Atlantic. This is a place for the emancipated heart. This is a place for transmitting signals. That's my job. And I'll never stop because I never really began. And that's how I returned to the white chrysanthemums.